quick note. If you want to understand what really makes people succeed in German and how you can build a language to actually use it, join my free live workshop at bettergerman.info/workshop. Welcome to the Better German podcast. My name is Susi Blümel, and I will teach you German and everything around the language, the countries, and the culture. Hello, welcome. It's so good that you're back, and it's so great that I'm back. It's been a quite long break that I haven't been here, and it's actually turned out to be a little longer than I had planned originally. I'm very sorry for that, but I'm back now. So as there was this break, I would like to take the opportunity to tell you why I was on such a long break. So basically, I had to take some time off from doing the podcast because I was working very intensively on a project that is very close and dear to me. And it was the launch of the Better German community. So what's the Better German community, or how did I even get into it? Basically, the Better German community is a place, it's a platform or a membership. It's a place where you can really find anything you need. It's your home to learn German. So you have channels there, which means there are places where you can communicate and exchange yourself with others. It's a little bit like, Facebook or X, but in your own closed community with like-minded people that want to learn German like you. And you can ask questions. You can ask questions about different subjects. You can look for answers there, and you can find other community members to practice with, and we will help you with that. There is a system that is going to be in place there. It's called Matchup. So it's not mandatory, but if you want to, you will get different members of the community to practice with you. There are weekly live classes, Zoom classes, about vocabulary, about pronunciation, about grammar, about conversation, and about fluency. So every week there is one class, and this is just for community members, about one of these subjects. There is, in the premium tier, you get an entire course, or actually many courses. You can start from nowhere in German, and it will bring you to where you can speak German. So German Part 1 course, or Level 1 course, is there, ready for you to jump on, and you will see the dates where the next courses are going to be released. What else do you have? You have a resources place where we add resources weekly, and if you're missing something, you just tell us, and it's going to be added. Resources where you find information about vocabulary, about what to do, how to learn, and so on. And you also will find recordings of the live classes. So if you miss a live class, you can find the recording there as well. And I've been a little busy doing this and setting this up. So that's why I took a break from the podcast for a while. It's also a very dear project to me because I want to help anyone who wants to learn German, including you. So the podcast is an important part of all of this. Why did I even come up with the Better German community? Well, basically, I've been teaching German in different settings for a while now. And before I originally started teaching English. By the way, I haven't stopped teaching English, but this one is about learning German. So I'm going to talk about this. There are courses that I can take and give, but it's a little hard sometimes because you have to get all the people that want to do the course into the same place, whether it is online or not, at the same time. And when they miss a lesson, then it's hard to catch up and so on. And then when you have pure online courses, you don't have a place where you can ask your questions, and then there's something you don't get, and then you're lost. And I've seen that too. I wanted to make something where you have a combination of everything, the best of all the worlds of learning. So it's a place where you can learn anything, you can learn intensively, it's going to answer all your questions, and you have a place where you can still have a community and meet other people and ask other people for support and things like that. That's why I created this community, and it's there now. It can be reached now. You can join it. I'd love for you to join it. You can join the Better German community on bettergerman.info/community. And I'm going to have a special just for the podcast listeners. So if you click the link in the show notes, you're going to get a discount. For everyone, it's free for the first 2 weeks. And if you click on the discount there, it's going to be free for the first month. So that's a link in the show notes. You can find it there. And you can also find it if you go on bettergerman.info/39, you will find your voucher for 1 month free in the Better German community, so you can try it out. Back to the Better German podcast. Now, the podcast is back now. I'm going to release episodes regularly. It's not going to be weekly. It's going to be once or twice a month. So there's going to be a new episode once or twice a month. If you find the podcast now, and that's your first time or your second time you're listening to me, then I highly suggest to you to go back to the beginning and listen to the episodes from the beginning. Because if you actually listen to them from the beginning, there is going to be a sort of a course built into the podcast. All right, this week's episode is conversation. So what do I mean with conversation? So conversation, you could say, of course, is just talking to people. And that's basically probably the most important thing of why you would even learn German, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you are learning German because you want to read German literature. Okay. So I guess that would be a very valid reason too. There's a lot of great German literature, and I love it. And one of the reasons why I do teach German is because I don't want it to be lost. However, usually most people that want to learn German want to be able to communicate with other people. And most communication with other people is done by talking to other people. And that's what conversation is. Now, when I talk about conversation in the sense of like German classes, I'm basically referring to conversation practice. Like, how do we practice? How do we learn to actually talk to people? And first of all, I want to clarify a few things here. So first of all, obviously, you do not start your very first German class by practicing conversation, because you obviously have nothing to say. You have no vocabulary and no idea how, even if you knew some words, how to put them together and make them a sentence. So there is not going to be a conversation. So what does that mean? Does it mean conversation is only for very advanced students? No, absolutely not. Conversation definitely starts much, much earlier. In my courses, typically the first conversation practice we have in the 5th unit. So every unit has maybe 10 lessons, short lessons in it. And then in the 5th unit, you have the first conversation practice. That would be typically, it would take you, if you take that course, maybe, let's say 20, 30 hours. If you really start from scratch and you do every single lesson and you do every single verbal exercise and written exercise, it shouldn't take you longer than 20 or 30 hours. It's actually quite a lot. So it could be 15 hours. Maybe you have had the thought, maybe I'm not good at German. Then I want to assure you that's not the point. That's not the problem. I'm going to show you what is the problem. And how I show you is I have actually put together a workshop. It's a free live workshop on Zoom. And in there, I'm going over what could make you think that. We'll cover what could go wrong, but I'm also going to show you how can it be done right? So go to bettergerman.info/workshop and sign up for the workshop, and I'll see you there. And then we start with the first conversation. And so basically what you need to do before, if you're not in one of my courses, of course, I'm welcoming you very much. If you want to take a course with me, you go to bettergerman.info/community and you sign up for the community, and then you will be in a course with me, and you will also get to see me. But if you are not in a course with me, or you're doing a course somewhere else, okay, you have to know some of the words and some of the sentence patterns. You could even start going to the beginning of the podcast and listen to every episode there, and you wouldn't need so much more to start your first conversation. So basically, before you start your first conversation, you need to have some vocabulary and some basic idea of how to say a sentence. So for example, I would suggest you could learn numbers. And you could learn, there's an episode about numbers, by the way, a podcast episode about numbers. You should learn words about your family members and maybe some words about occupations. There's a podcast episode about occupations as well. And some very simple sentence structures, and then you're good to go for your first conversation, because then you could already say something about family. Typically, that's, for example, something we start with. So that's what I suggest, but most of you will probably not be complete, total, and utter beginners. And even if you are now, at some point in the future, you won't. So let's look at how can you practice conversation. And that can be super, super, super simple. You just get another person, ideally another student like you, who is on the same level, and you pick a subject, and then you just talk. I'll give you an example. The first conversation that we do in class would be, tell me about your family. Tell me more. So, erzähl mir über deine Familie. Tell me about your family. Tell me more is erzähl mir mehr. So, one student asks the other, erzähl mir über deine Familie. Tell me about your family. And the other person will do as best as he can. And by that time, he will be able to say something. And actually, and that's the important part, mostly you will be surprised what you can say already. You could say something like, meine Familie ist groß. My family is big. Meine Mutter ist Maria. Sie ist 53 Jahre. She is 53 years. Or, meine Schwester ist Anna. Sie ist 35. Sie ist Lehrerin. So, my sister is Anna, she's 35, she's a teacher. And so on. And you just keep saying, tell me more. Meine Familie ist in Wien. Oder, meine Familie ist in Frankreich. And so on. So, whatever it is at that level, at the level you are, you can say it. And your partner has the job of listening, understanding what you're saying, and tell me more. You do a few things, and then you switch. So, what does your partner do, or what do you do when you are a partner? When you tell your study partner, for the moment, erzähl mir über deine Familie. You listen carefully, and you understand what the person is saying. What is not your job is to correct. So you listen to him or her, and you understand, and you get what he wants to say, and you get to tell him to tell more. So we do not correct as part of conversation practice. Why? There is a place for correction, and it's not there. Because what happens, it's hard in the beginning to speak. Maybe you're even shy, then it's even harder, but it's not easy, no matter if you're shy or not, if you're learning a new language, to speak. So you will, in a real communication, if the person tells you the thing and you understand it, that's a real communication, and that's all what we want at this point. But it's very important that if you don't understand what the person say, you ask. And you get it explained. Ideally in German. If not, then in any other language that you have in common. Because what we want to practice here is real communication. So that means the person tells you something, you understand it. And so if you don't understand it, you have to ask. So that's the way to learn conversation, and it's so simple. But it's really, really powerful if you keep doing that. Pick different subjects, like from the point where you've started, like in almost every lesson or every second lesson or unit of lessons, you should do one conversation class. So what can you do? If you are learning by yourself, then find yourself another student that is approximately the same level and just do that. If you live in a German-speaking country, then just find anybody who you can talk to and maybe tell them, okay, good, fine, let me practice that, but maybe you can get him to listen to this episode, but it's important at this point in time to not do all the corrections, because if you get all these corrections, it will introvert you and it will stop you from actually communicating. It could be like, you will say, okay, meine Name ist, and then if the person says, no, it's not meine, it's mein, and then you go, oh, okay, mein Name ist, and then you will start thinking about grammar nonstop, and that's not what we want at this point in time. What the other person can do, if he notices there is a particular mistake, you keep repeating or something, he can note it, and after you finish practicing this one, he can take it up with you and help you practice each point. Anyway, so not correcting at this point in time when you practice conversation. And that's an important point because it will introvert you. It will keep you from speaking. There are points in time when obviously you might need corrections, but that's not right there. That's my tips to learn conversation. If you want to see this in live action, I have conversation classes on Zoom that are completely free where you can take part. And I will go over this with you, and you will have partners and you can practice together. And yes, on Zoom, you can do that together. You will be in a little separate room for the time periods where you practice this, but you will still have access to me. It's possible. We will start out as a group. I will explain things to you. You will get demonstrations. We will go through some words that can be helpful for this subject that we're going to talk in that lesson. And then you're going to be separated with a partner, and you're going to be in an extra room to practice, and I'll go around. So you can ask me questions, and then I see what you're doing and so on. So these are conversation classes I have. I have them a couple of times, like every now and then. So go to bettergerman.info/conversation, and you will see the next date for the next class. You will also find the other free classes that I offer there. I offer classes regularly, like once a month. There is a free class on either pronunciation, conversation, grammar, fluency. So every month there is one, or vocabulary is the fifth subject that I do regularly. Good. So that's this for this lesson. I hope it helps you. You can absolutely do, and I highly suggest to you to do that and to do that a lot. I have seen students that had learned a little bit in German but not much, and never practiced, and just doing these conversation classes helped them to just start speaking, and so it can do that for you as well. Okay, talk to you. See you later. See you in the next episode. By the way, the next episode is going to be about pronunciation and how you can, like, a little bit about the German pronunciation, a few tips about typical word combinations that sometimes are not so easy to understand if you haven't learned German yet. And yes, so tune in and I'll see you there. Bye-bye. Here is a story from one of my students. She came to Austria because of love, and she started learning German, and she tried learning German, and she learned German with different people. She had private teachers and private tutors that tried to help her, and she worked hard, and she didn't speak German. Then she came to me. I worked with her, and she was not a difficult student, frankly. Not at all. She was one of the easiest students I've ever had. We didn't do private lessons. She was in one of my small group programs, and after 2 months, she spoke German. That's her saying that, not me. Her name was Diana. And I'm not telling you this because I want to tell you how great of a teacher I am, but I'm telling this to you because what was wrong here was the method. It wasn't her, it wasn't the language. And most people, when they run into a problem, they think it's them or they think it's the language. And it's neither of them. Everyone can learn German, but you have to use the right method. So if you want to know what you can do to actually learn German, then join me in the free workshop, How to Actually Learn German. It's really a culmination of all the things that I'm using in my German programs and also in the podcast, by the way. Join me in the workshop. It's a live free workshop with me. I'd love to see you there. It's on Zoom, and you can find out everything about it at bettergerman.info/workshop.